All right, we are here on my second favorite map in War of Rights, and that is the Hagerstown Turnpike. So this is a it is a relatively small map. If you need to orient yourself, right, that's Miller's Cornfield. This is the scene of a lot of Hooker's Push. In fact, Hagerstown Turnpike is really attached, or much of that is attached to the Hooker's Push map. Anyways, we are in Union Spawn. The point of contention, it ain't far away, right? That is the Hagerstown Turnpike. That is the fence that runs along it. There's at least in War of Rights, the iconic tree that stands right there. In terms of artillery, this is one where both sides have artillery, but I would say that defenders have an artillery advantage. The Union artillery starts in a less than fantastic position. It has a number of guns back here. And it can pretty quickly get eyes down the pike and get eyes, well, on point, which is also on the pike. Sometimes Union artillery will also roll itself up here on this hill so that it has a clearer view. The CSA has two batteries. This can be a forlorn battery, but I think it's actually a really interesting one. It's also one that's potentially a real ticket dump for the CSA if they end up with a lot of skirmishing and out of lines and the Union just keep running up to the turnpike and sniping folks off their guns. The CSA is going to bleed a lot of tickets. CSA do not have a lot of tickets relative to the Union on this map. All right, Brockenbrough is the 6-gun battery that's back here. I guess as an arty guy, it's the arty bias that I'll start the map with arty. What I would likely recommend doing is just rolling as many guns as you can, particularly the Napoleons, just up to here. If you want, put the caissons in a place where they're going to catch bullets from the field and from the point. The rifled guns that are over here, these look like, okay, they look like parrots. Yeah, they're all parrots. Yeah, you can certainly have them queued up for that set of rocks that is out there. Sometimes the Union, it doesn't really make sense for them to launch volleys from there, but they can. You can certainly queue them up for that. You can move them out a little bit and then angle them down the pike as well, and you can shoot far down the pike. And you got quite a few options, but I think you do need to push them out a little bit. Beware, even back here, the Union infantry can get you. I think, I don't know, somewhere around this line or the fixed caissons, the Union actually start to time out. I don't think that this... I'm on the Union, and I don't think the spectator cam is always right. But this is just about at the border. So pay attention to that. But those are 9 guns that should easily be within about 250 yards of the point, not that long after the battle starts. What I like to do, and I don't think this is something that has caught on yet in pub, but from this battery, this right around this tree is where the Union start to time out. And I found that actually putting guns up on this rise frequently will bait the Union to charge you, and then, well, we'll talk about the CSA and how the defenders approach. The CSA can be the defenders, and they can wipe far more tickets from the Union than you're able to bait out. You can use your caissons to protect you from small arms that's coming up from that hill, and then you can just dump canister onto the point. Right, you can give them double canister from here. That's how that works. Yeah, you could probably play most maps as cap recap. I would say Hagerstown is somewhere like, yeah, sometimes it'll be cap recap, but you know, when the CSA is sloppy and they just give away way too many out of lines, the Union doesn't need that. I think one of the other things the CSA runs into on this map is that because there's a large battery, it gets crowded. And people know that, oh, you know, I don't have to be that far. I don't even need an officer. So, you know, I want to go solo arty, and I can just kind of see where my shots hit. And so they end up with so many guys in arty that they don't have enough guys in the line to deal with the infantry fights. The promise of arty is that a small number of skilled gunners can take away more tickets than they're going to lose during the course of the fight. You don't need a third of the team in artillery to do that. If the defenders are really cagey, and the CSA's fort in this one, or the obvious fort, is this series of woods in here that we are now timing out in. It's ringed by a fence, The Union can frequently get into the fence. Sometimes they can go up and over the fence a little ways before they start timing out. The CSA always has depth on their side, and so they can just pull back if they are disciplined. Other than that, though, it's a lot of open ground. It's this hill up here. This hill is good for masking movement, and some people think it's good for elevation for shooting. I guess that could be true. So Union approaches. One approach is to work their way kind of through the cornfield up here on this right, get embedded up here on this defilade, and then they can shoot down, basically using the hard cover of the defilade into the soft cover, quasi-soft to hard cover of the fence plus the trees. It gives a lot of cover to the CSA. That is a recipe for maybe a slow bleed on tickets, but it's not one that I think is ever going to shoot the CSA into breaking before time expires, so they're going to have to do more than that. Another Union push is sometimes the circuitous route. The Union can go very far. So these rocks out here, again, it's kind of deceptive. They're like, oh, it looks like, we could get a lot of good volleys off. You could, but there are probably 9 guns that could shoot you, and they can explode on those rocks or just over those rocks. The best Union pushes through this field are the ones that keep on moving. There's an odd depression that it's just hard to describe in any way other than it's odd. I can tell you from being in Brockenbrough a lot, when the Union get in here, it is just really, you pretty much lose them because they are so low. And the Union can come around and they can get on the turnpike up here. Just had them do it to us last night. I mean, the battle was already over because far too many defender out of lines. But they can do that. They can shoot a lot of skirmishing and out of lines in the battery. They can charge off the battery. One of the moves I would make as Union, when you're going for a critical cap and you don't want to eat 5 or 6 rounds from artillery, is to actually have a company or two that charges out or shoots out a lot of the artillery so that you don't have to lose a good chunk of your forces to canister and all that other nastiness that is probably going to be concentrated on this little area of the pike. That tree, it's an easy landmark for artillery to find. So the CSA will frequently the Union will frequently push this hill. They're going to take control of that hill, I would say, in almost all cases. And from here, they can shoot almost any infantry that's going to try to defend the point. Other Union can push up this fence. They can cap point from here, and then the CSA got to come in and attack. And so is the Union. The goal is usually, if the CSA is going to play cagey, play cap recap until both sides are deep into taking losses. At that point, the script is largely flipped because the open field was kind of a disadvantage for the Union who had to cross it. But at this point, now the CSA can't be that far from cap in case Arty doesn't save the day and whatever. And it's hard for Arty to save the day if there's 130 guys who are about to flood the point. And so now the CSA infantry has to start coming out into the field, and that means that the attackers will get soft cover and the defenders will usually get no cover, and that just allows the attackers to shoot them down into breaking and to get the win like that. Or possibly to cap early and then just lead the CSA and not allow them to recap. That seems unlikely. The CSA spawn is so close for infantry. I still recommend CSA take flags because you want mobile spawn points. But if they have to spawn main is not very far at all from point for either side. But the CSA should have a leg up in that race. This is one of those battlefields. So the actual kind of contentious areas tend to be the little bit of land in front of us. Not a whole lot in the way of hard cover, but defilades, rocks, artillery, team play, and knowing that the ticket count and the timer. I think that, again, when you get decent officers, and particularly rank and file, who just stop Ramboing and stay in formation, this can be a very tricky pickle for both sides, and it's one of the reasons why it's my favorite in War of Rights.